In the early morning hours of October 13th, 2021, a convoy of Chicago police, SWAT, and FBI agents rolled out of the 3rd District Station and headed northwest toward one of the most notorious neighborhoods in America, Parkway Gardens, better known as O Block. O Block is a place where violent crime isn't occasional, it's routine. But this wasn't a regular response call. This was a full-scale raid. For the first time, the FBI was directly targeting suspects tied to O Block in connection with a high-profile murder. And it wasn't going to end well for several of its residents. The target? The men accused of killing Chicago drill rapper FBG Duck. Law enforcement moved fast. They sealed off all 5 entrances to the Parkway Gardens housing complex near 63rd and South King Drive. Armed with search and arrest warrants, they moved in on foot, knowing exactly which buildings to hit. Their main targets were 4 alleged members of the O Block faction of the Black Disciples. Charles Liggins, known as C-Murda or C-Murda. To Carlos Offord, known as Los. Christopher Thomas, known as Sethang. Marcus Smart, known as Muop or Zell. All 4 were still sleeping when the teams breached the apartments. Within just 10 minutes, the suspects were in handcuffs. Why was it so easy for the FBI to locate them? Because these men and their associates had been anything but discreet. Social media posts, music, and public taunting had already painted a clear picture of their involvement. Rest in peace, Duck, or similar rival disses. At a press conference later that day, the FBI laid out the indictment. It described O Block as a criminal enterprise that allegedly promoted and enhanced its status through acts of violence, public bragging, taunting rivals, and, crucially, using social media and drill music to build their reputation and intimidate enemies. But the FBI wasn't there just to arrest 4 men. They saw this as part of a much larger, ongoing war between 2 historic Chicago gangs: the Black Disciples, who control O Block, and the Gangster Disciples, who dominate the surrounding areas, including the faction FBG Duck ran with, STL/EBT, or Tukaville. Let's go back to how it all unfolded. On August 4th, 2020, around 4:20 p.m., FBG Duck, real name Carlton Weekly, stepped out of a dark sedan in Chicago's upscale Gold Coast neighborhood. He was shopping for a birthday gift for his young son in one of the city's safest, wealthiest areas. Suddenly, 2 vehicles, a silver Ford Fusion and a black Chrysler 300, screeched to a stop beside him. 4 masked gunmen jumped out and opened fire in broad daylight. The ambush lasted just 15 seconds, described by witnesses as pure mayhem. 38 shell casings were later recovered. Duck tried to take cover behind a car, but was hit 16 times. His girlfriend, who was still in the sedan, and an innocent bystander were also struck. Surveillance cameras captured everything. The getaway cars were tracked across the city, all the way back to O Block. Just 36 minutes after the shooting, one of the vehicles pulled back into the complex. Charles Liggins was seen getting out. The brazen daytime hit in a luxury area made national headlines. For many Chicagoans, it was proof that the deadly gang violence bubbling in the South Side could spill anywhere. This wasn't random. It was the latest chapter in a long-standing feud between O Block's Black Disciples and FBG Duck's faction of the Gangster Disciples. The 2 groups were once united under the massive Black Gangster Disciple Nation in the 1960s, but split decades ago into bitter rivals. The divide turned deadly on the South Side, with sharp territorial lines that residents know by heart. Cross Vernon Avenue or go north of 63rd Street at your own risk. O Block earned its name in 2011 after the killing of a respected local figure, O.D. Perry. Drill artists like Chief Keef, who helped birth the genre with I Don't Like, King Von, and Lil Durk, who's closely tied to the area, put the block on the map worldwide through their music. They shouted out O Block constantly, turning a small housing project into a symbol of Chicago drill culture and its violence. Even Michelle Obama was born in Parkway Gardens and lived there for the first 2 years of her life, back when it was still a relatively stable, working-class community. Her family moved out as the neighborhood began to change. Over the years, the concentration of violence here became staggering. Shootings, robberies, and retaliation became almost daily. Businesses struggled. Residents lived in fear. In response, Chicago police created a special impact zone, assigning veteran officers to mentor rookies with constant foot and vehicle patrols. They added a dedicated summer patrol unit during peak violence months. The complex itself now has 24-hour guardhouses at the entrances, resident vehicle stickers, an 8-foot perimeter fence, limited pedestrian access, and over 100 security cameras actively monitored. But hardware alone doesn't fix the deeper problems. Chronic school absenteeism is painfully high. In 2022, 45% of O-Block kids missed more than 10% of school days. Many fear walking to school because it means crossing rival territory. Gang recruitment starts as early as 13. Community leaders are fighting back.